Behind our apartment building in Taipei is a park full of trees and urban wildlife, including, to our surprise, mango trees and roof cats. The park isn't very big. We could walk from one end of it to another within a minute or two, but it is a refreshing patch of greenery between the many concrete apartment buildings that tower around us. Watching the trees for birds from our kitchen window is one of my favorite things to do during the day. Though usually the Japanese wide-eyes, spotted doves, and barn swallows fly by too fast for me to take pictures of, and the roof cats hardly move from their sleeping spots all day. But recently, I got the chance to see something very special. A family of Chinese bulbuls taking care of one very fussy fledgling in the trees right below my apartment. Chinese bulbuls are native to Taiwan, and this particular variety is happy at home in the city. Although some wildlife species are upset by expanding human cities, it doesn't seem to make too much of a difference to the Chinese bulbul. They have a broad diet that includes fruits, insects, and vegetable matter. While I was watching them, it seemed to take them no time at all for the adults to dive into the leaves of the trees around them and pop back with a tasty bug or scrap of a leaf to feed to their fledgling. Finding the fledgling hiding in the trees itself was very tricky. I lucked out at seeing the little pile of gray feathers when I saw the leaves rustling in the wind and a small gray spot that wasn't moving with them. Finding birds in the forest can sometimes seem like finding a needle in a haystack, but it's so much fun. There are all kinds of bird-watching tricks that you can learn to discover new birds hiding in the trees. Though mostly it just requires a lot of patience and watching very, very carefully for any movement or lack of movement in the trees. But when you can find a bird hiding in the leaves, you never know what you might see, including special events like a baby fledgling being fed by its parents. This fledgling was clearly still very young. His tail feathers hadn't finished coming out of their pin feather casing yet, and he still had more baby down on his back than actual feathers. But he was old enough to jump from branch to branch with a few flaps of his wings and old enough to leave the nest. Chinese bulbul build open tree nests that are woven together from grasses and soft materials that the birds gather. I didn't see this family's nest, but considering how isolated the park behind our house is, the nest was probably hiding in the tree near the fledgling. Being able to build a nest that is hard to spot is a very useful skill for a bird. Usually, there are 3 or 4 eggs laid in each Chinese bulbul nest, but there was only one fledgling that I could see. However, that one fledgling was enough to keep both parents very busy. They were flying back and forth, bringing the fledgling food for quite a while, until finally, one parent settled down next to the fledgling and did something very interesting. It started preening the smaller bird, plucking at the down feathers on its back and studying the fledgling from all sorts of angles. My guess is the fledgling may have had some parasites sitting on it, and by allopreening, that is, preening one another, the Chinese bulbuls are able to free each other from the parasites and keep themselves healthier. Not all bird species alloprene, but those who do not only have a unique way to bond, they help keep one another clean of parasites and preen feathers that would be hard for the other birds to reach on their own. I have never seen wild birds alloprene their fledglings before, but from what I learned about the Chinese bulbuls, this isn't surprising for the species. Some bulbuls will even practice allobreeding, which is when non-breeding members of a bird flock will help the parents raise their young. For Chinese bulbuls, this often means that the older siblings will help out. But if they're such a close-knit flocking species, it isn't surprising to see them take such diligent care of their young together. And this little family will probably be together in our small park for quite some time. Bulbuls mate for life, so most likely this parenting pair has a lot of experience raising young together as a team. That gives them an edge over bird species that have to learn how to work with a new mate every year. So who knows, maybe this little guy is going to grow up and take care of his siblings in the same park next year. He will just have to be extra careful around the roof cats, but considering how much they sleep, something tells me that won't be a problem.